looking good. Hi, late ill kid at OneYoungsta, holding it down, bringing in StreetGeek and NERDSoul. What is up, my people? Today, all year, coming with another wonderful episode of We Gonna Get Out of Here. That on screen, we talking about that Loki. Talking about Loki. All right, so look, I ain't by myself. All right, the bottom square. All right, you know him, you love him. RJ Nerdy Brew, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, and in the diagonal square, it here, right here, yeah, thing right there. You know him, cinematic sorcerer, Solar Gray.
Hey everybody, I would be a little more over the top, but this episode we gonna keep a little low key.
All right, understood. Now,
My
last but not
offspring is a
least,
grown woman. I have earned my dad jokes.
so last but not least, you know who it is. All right, Jet Ski Champion 2021. All right,
Former
X
director of
Games gold
S.H.I.E.L.D.
medalist, Time Man of the Year 2020, 2019, and 18. All right. Also,
Winner of the
Excite by
Nobel
NES
Prize in
champion,
writing.
Clement Bryant.
Clement Bryant!
Woo!
To sit here and enjoy my expensive pressed juice and ruminate on that over-the-top introduction.
I mean, when you're as
International
accomplished
boxing
as you are.
champion after
The
beating
only-
Ivan Drago.
The only thing that I'll accept is director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Anyways,
Okay. So we got Loki. RJ, you set it off. You already asked, going to ask the question since we on, how we feeling. Because you were setting it off, you were ready. You were prepared, if you will. Oh, you got his little, you got your little leaf.
First and foremost, I just wanted to,
He's freezing up.
Oh man, you're freezing.
all the way. I just wanted to know general thoughts. For me, I it is my internet. I had to heard me say that.
All right, well, leave and then come back, and I got you.
Pros.
All right, just bounce, and when you be back, that's when you gonna be back. All right, so Solar, you know what I'm saying? Where you at with this? Where you at?
To the Magic Man about the show about a Magic Man. How can I put this? This was not what I expected. I did not expect this. Number one, all right, I'm gonna talk about the stuff I loved, the stuff I was surprised by, and the stuff that threw me for a little bit of a loop. All right.
Okay.
Let me talk about the stuff I was surprised by.
Where'd she go?
He gonna be back.
Yep. No BS.
All right.
I was super surprised at how much I enjoyed Owen Wilson.
You know what? Shouts to Owen.
Yeah, I normally cannot stand anything he's in. As soon as I see him on screen, I'm going, oh, this show just lost itself in quality. Wow. I almost enjoyed that movie, and then he showed up. Like, and in this one, I'm just like, is that really Owen Wilson? He been hanging out with Luke for a minute? Like what's going on?
Oh man, not hanging out with Luke though.
But yeah, so real talk, I was surprised. I was truly surprised. Now let's talk about what I loved. Number one, I love time travel. Okay.
All right.
As you and some of your fans know, when it comes to the great debate, Star Wars or Star Trek, okay, Captain Kirk, Picard, Cisco, versus Luke, Obi-Wan, Vader. My answer was, and still is Doctor Who. I have always been into the time travel thing. So looking at this, I'm like, all right, let's see what they're gonna do with it. And I really enjoyed that they touched upon the sacred timeline that was touched on in Endgame.
Nice.
Because let's face it, between Hickman's run on the Avengers with the Time Runs Out storyline,
All right.
and the fact that I've been reading DC Comics since 2 years before Crisis. Timey-wimey shenanigans in comic books ain't nothing new. You know, nothing new.
Timey-wimey shenanigans.
Told you I'm a Doctor Who fan. Anyway, but looking at this whole look, we preserve the timeline because these 3 big space lizards said we supposed to. Okay, that is as good a reason as any, and I'm with that reason. But the thing, and I got to put this out there because I love writing, I love dialogue, I love all that stuff. But you know what really blew me away in this episode, other than seeing Old Girl from Lovecraft Country?
All right.
Set design. Yeah. The set design was everything I didn't know I wanted. I can hang out in these offices. You know, I saw, like, it's weird for me sucking up so much media as I do. Because, you know, way back when Animaniacs first started, they introduced Slappy the Squirrel. And she was like old Hollywood. But every time she met somebody new, she's like, you remind me of a young, and she would say some name of some old Hollywood actor type thing. That's going to happen to all y'all. You, like every single one of these squares and all you viewers. It's like, man, that was just nothing but Inglourious Bastards. Oh, that was just this. Oh, that reminds me of a very youngness. And it's hard to draw the line between ripoff and homage. Because that whole opening part, see, I was going somewhere with this, huh? See, I was establishing a rapport, and now I'm getting to the point. When they brought Loki in, I saw the first 20 minutes of Thor Ragnarok. Yeah. You know, but I liked the mere juxtaposition, considering because of the time stuff. This is a pre-Ragnarok Loki. And I really, really like how the writers of this show seem to be begging forgiveness for the Dark World. Because it was, y'all might have hated this, but this was really important. This was real important. Really important. See, look, this is where Loki really grew as a character. Right here. Stop hating on the Dark World, please. You know?
Wow.
But the part that blew me away the absolute most, that was not the art design, was the rapport between Owen Wilson and Loki.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
That was having received 1 or 2 therapy sessions myself this week. I gotta say that was very well written. Like this writer did their homework. Now they either did some psych major or they just wrote down their therapy sessions and decided to get paid for it. But either way, it worked. It worked really well. So, you know, I love this episode. Although I am a rube, I guess it's because I'm so tired from all this work I've been doing on the house and around the house. But when we saw the stained glass, I'm like, oh, now it's him. Like, I can't even make a joke about it. I was joking all throughout Winter Soldier. Like, look, that looks a lot like a red-faced devil. If the Disney Plus Marvel team is going to be doing this, I'm kind of like, back off, guys. It was our joke. Don't run it into the ground. You know, almost like I'm the goddamn Batman meme. I don't want the whole to be the meme that gets taken over by Disney Plus. You know what I mean?
Word.
I
Clement.
One episode, but if when that comes out, but outside of that, I'm like, let it go, y'all. Just so
let it go. All right. So Clement, how you feeling?
Copywritten Disney.
I loved everything about it, especially like, you know, kind of like plus one what Solar said was that whole scenes and the scenes between Owen and Tom are really well done. They ping pong from comedy to being straightforward to going really deep. Even so much like when he starts hitting on early in the episode about, do you like killing people? I was like, wow, why would you trigger someone like that? And in the sense of, you would think Loki of this badass anti-hero who has literally tried to subjugate the earth, not once, not twice, multiple times.
Well, see, technically right now we're dealing with the old Loki.
Right. But still, it's like, when you're asking a question like that, you're picking apart. It's like you were talking about therapy, Solar, and like me, like similar to you, I'm in therapy as well, talking about a lot of things of, you know, my issues of how I grew up, you know, who was responsible for me growing up, how do I operate in the workplace, how are my relationships,
Whether you like killing people or not.
What'd you say?
Shout out to Black mental health.
Right. And so you're digging into it. So like, that question is at the center of who Loki is. Do you enjoy it? Do you get a rise out of it? And it also shows when he says, I don't like killing people, it's what he has to, it really kind of delves into the psychosis of who Loki is. And I didn't expect that in the first episode. I expected it to go in places where eventually after 6 episodes you would have this fuller picture, but in the first episode you're getting this fuller picture of who Loki is as the god that he pretends himself and purports himself to be. But you're also seeing throughout the episode, especially when he comes into TVA, you see a lot of fear of the guy. A lot of fear when he's like going through the whole airport looking machine and he's like, I don't know if I'm a robot or not, am I gonna get killed? I'm like, wait, you've never seen this kind of fear out of Loki before.
Well, in all fairness, that Loki has never seen himself so outmatched.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because
but the one moment that I'm like, hey, this is your chance to learn, was at please take a ticket. You know, and I was expecting the dude to turn around and straight pull a Harrison Ford going, no ticket, you know. And that moment I'm like,
yo, he took him.
All right, I got it.
He's like, oh, I got it, I'm good. And so it's like the way that the show ping pongs between comedy, being straightforward, delving into deeper MCU storylines, past and future and present, and then being a character study about why this guy who he is. It was very fascinating to me to see that, and I had to kind of rewatch it a couple times for me to even kind of pick up on those certain like story points. And also for me, again, the set design was, I've never seen anything like that in the MCU because it picked apart. There's a little bit of Blade Runner in it. There's like Clockwork Orange. There's a lot of different influence, and you had this whole 70s paranoia aspect. I'm not sure if you guys picked up on it or not.
I'm glad that you brought up the Clockwork Orange thing, because when Obama first got elected, my friends and I were joking when he was changing all the dot matrix printers and all that stuff, that he was bringing the White House kicking and screaming into the 20th century. Right. And not the 21st, just kicking and screaming, because Clockwork Orange, the fascist dystopia of the bureaucratic nightmare. Exactly. That bureaucratic nightmare that was Clockwork Orange, or the prison system, or the DMV, or any set of bureaucracy. The TVA's art design, and this is what blew me away for it, gave you that feeling. Everything was retro, from the interior design with all the wood and all the sculptures that people would look at nowadays going, how many drugs were you on, Mom? To all the machinery, you know, the machine that disintegrated his clothes looked very much like something that would have evolved from the world of Captain America: The First Avenger.
And you hit on something, and also the sense of order. It's very much like, this is your line. You step even a centimeter out of line,
you're gone.
You're gone. And it's like, and it comes up multiple things, especially in that first, I want to say 20 minutes, where he goes into the courtroom and Judge Renslayer is like, oh, he's better reset. He's like, wait, what? What am I gonna do? Why? Where? What does that mean? In this whole sense of order that plagues the TVA. It's a very interesting study that I haven't really seen anything like this in the MCU before.
Yeah, and I do have to say,
now speaking of, go ahead.
I was saying, as a black man, it really caught that sense of powerless versus the system.
You picked up exactly where I was gonna go next.
Yeah, I mean, it's like now when I can talk to my friends about white privilege and stuff, it's like, you want to know what it feels like? Watch this. This is what my life feels like.
The Silhouetted Animator came through and said they get the Legion vibes from it, and I definitely feel you on that. And shouts to Blur this up in the chat. I'll say the show shows that Disney is committed to being as vast and diverse in its depiction of the Marvel Cinematic Universe or whatever as possible. Because this show is, we take these 3 shows that we have off top, they are vastly different from one another.
That's purpose. That's very much on purpose, because also when you look at the landscape of media, and not only just media in general, in superhero media, you have Image, you have DC. What differentiates you? Why would a viewer watch your show versus what DC's putting out?
Well, okay.
I would watch all the stuff that's on with Image on Invincible and AMC. Like, why would you? What's the differentiator? It's going to be how you're approaching these characters and what the character study is to divide to separate yourself from what's on their TV, what's on their YouTube, what's on their TikTok. You see where I'm going with it? So,
why watch Loki over Sweet Tooth or Lucifer?
Bingo.
Yeah, and that Loki, the Loki that we know from 2012 is, like you said, Solar, like he is definitely, smelling himself. And then he comes in there and they got Infinity Stones just laying around inert, nothing. They just he's like, oh yeah, we got a couple of those. He's like, oh yeah. They look real nice. I got them in the drawer, just chilling. Yes, they have like no power here.
I thought that was the most brilliant piece of the writing.
Yeah.
That they could do. It's okay. You see this thing, which is one of the most powerful things you've ever known to exist. Okay. This is the thing that you have watched empires rise and fall, trying to get one of them.
Yep.
Yeah, it's garbage here.
It's a basic rock, and that kind of hopefully lets us know how crazy the MCU is about to get. Because honestly, comics get wild if you let them. Like comics get power levels are probably about to get crazy.
What are you talking about? And Fear itself was a perfectly restrained Thor story.
Exactly. That's important to note. And I mean, even that scene where he looks at the Infinity Stones, where he starts out, hey, okay, I'm gonna gut you like a fish. He's like, what's fish? It's like he's like, that hilarious. It goes from being super funny to being like, oh wait. Everything that we've been told in the MCU from starting out from the Infinity Saga to now, it's like, oh, okay, now now you're on a different playing field.
Yeah, like
as far as you use storytelling before, and even a couple films ago, completely different. It's setting up a different landscape, and that's exciting.
Yeah, it went from big fish, small pond.
Exactly.
Regular fish on Neptune.
Yeah, because he is out of his. It's funny because it's even when he gets the upper hand on Ruby. Shouts to Ruby, glad to see you. Loved your work on Lovecraft Country. Glad to see you back. Even when he gets the upper hand, dude just ends up like, yeah, I can't go anywhere. like I'm stuck here. I'm stuck. I'm stuck here. And him, it's interesting seeing him watch himself in the future in such a fast pace. Because see, even if we were to watch ourselves, say, all right, cool, let me fast forward to the end. Whether it's good or bad, it would probably be enough to sit you on your butt. Be like, yo, wow. Like
Right.
this person that I thought I hated, I became best friends with them, or this changed, or that changed, or you know what I'm saying, this person, you know, really broke my heart, or whatever. It's just all these things because you have someone who's like, right now, I'm gonna take over the earth. I'm gonna do my thing. I don't care, and give this to Thanos, and ha ha ha, because I do what I want to do. And then you're like, oh no, I actually sacrificed myself so that he could be stopped. And then
And
it changes. Being able to see the end sometimes completely changes your whole perspective. So I'm very interested to see what the episode 2 Loki is like after watching this, because of course he's not the same man, but knowing how his life played out, knowing that, I mean, even him saying glorious purpose, knowing that how his life played out is really the real Loki he wanted to be anyway. Will he change?
I still don't.
I don't think. Here's the thing.
He's like, I don't trust him.
I think people can change different aspects of themselves, but who they are at their core always remains. And I think it's the same for Loki, right?
They're just saying, I adored you, but at the end of the day, you're you and I'm me, and that's just the way it's going.
And I'm not saying I've seen people change miraculously over the span of my lifetime, but I think in Loki's case, he has a certain view about himself. And even though the TVA humbled his ass, like you can get to you see him at the end of it having a normal conversation with Mobius and being like, wait, the variant that you guys are chasing is another me? That flips his head off.
Yeah.
And someone who is, and he, even when Mobius says, oh, you're just a pussycat. You're not a dangerous variant. You're just a pussycat. We don't really worry about you. That busted him. But I think getting back to it, at his core, he's still trying to figure out who he is as a person and why he is brought, and also why he was adopted and sacrificed, and why his father let him go with Odin. It's a lot of answering all that questions. And I just think, I was watching an interview with Michael Waldron, who's the writer on the show, and between what he says and what Tom says, every episode is a self-contained story. And I think that's going to be important in the way that Loki comes to terms with this house over the series.
Well, I'm in a strange place on this, because I've seen a telling of this story before in comic books.
All right.
And I'm about, sorry, I got a shot from Do the Right Thing in my head, watching your whole audience go, oh, with what I'm about to say. But I've seen what this story is kind of setting up to in Booster Gold.
Good call.
There was a huge story arc of Booster Gold learning how to futz with time and going back in time to try and save Blue Beetle, and accidentally destroying the timeline, and then Rip Hunter had to come in and do a bunch of stuff. But but see, if time travel story, if this sets to the beats of normal time travel stories, we're gonna get the Loki that's like, well, this is the future I see. How can I work with the time variance authority to prevent it? If I'm just a variant and I'm not supposed to exist, then I'm going to create my place, and the place I'm going to create is going to give me everything I think I want. All the little, because we saw
those things.
We saw it in Booster Gold. We see it every season on Legends of Tomorrow. It's just it's kind of a time travel.
Legends of Tomorrow.
I'm serious,
Yeah, but
on that show, you don't really become a part of the team until you try and change the timeline and screw everything up.
Now, honestly, I get you, but with one episode, I'm gonna go in and put this a little bit above Legends of Tomorrow.
I ain't saying Legends is as good as show.
Oh, okay.
No.
I might have grown up during the crack wars, but I didn't smoke none. This show is already leaps and bounds over most of the stuff that the CW does. I'm just putting it out there as an objective filmmaker and a writer. Okay, this has higher budget, more consequences, all that stuff out there. However, they're screwing with time, and the entertainment industry has only been able to tell 2 or 3 stories concerning time. So there are tropes, there are beats that are going to be hit. So as far as the future of the show goes, I've got absolute faith. I loved WandaVision. I love Bidet, Falcon and Winter Soldier. That was my jam. So I got faith in this one. Honestly, Disney/Marvel has only let me down twice since 2008. So that's a record,
What was twice for you?
Huh?
What was twice for you?
Iron Man 2 and Dark World. Those are my 2. All right.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, what the hell am I watching and why should I care?
See, I see both of those movies. When I went back and watched all of Marvel again, I saw those as like more. Because I know a lot of people jumped on them like they were nothing but like trash. I see them as kind of like, you know what I'm saying, like in a middling area. But they do. I think it's because those are 2 movies that are supposed to set something up for it. Because if you look at both of those movies, like, we're supposed to set up. So the problem is
trash
in football. They say if you've ever played football, coaches will say this: your feet are moving before you catch the ball. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Catch the ball first, then run. And see, in both of those movies, they were trying to run to the next story before actually, let's serve this story up. Let's serve this one up. Let's catch this story and serve it before we try to run to the next one.
Yeah, they hadn't caught their stride. So I'm not saying they're trash. I'm just saying compared to the rest of them, and a lot of the time stuff got to grow on me, because my favorite non-Infinity Stone concerned Avengers movie is Age of Ultron. And I didn't like that when I first started, I'm like, I saw it in the theater and I'm like, and that's reflective of something that Clement brought up a little earlier, was the comedy. As everybody knows, I am not a fan of Joss Whedon's words. Okay, when he's telling people where to put the camera and what sound to use and all that stuff, I'm like, you do your thing. When it comes to dialogue, I need somebody standing there. I need a big black man standing there with a belt. Mr. Grievous, where are you at? That's seriously where I'm at. He needs somebody standing over him ready to go. Boy, you put one more joke, because
I feel you.
Jokes that were put in the first episode of Loki were contextual, they were important, they were well timed.
Yeah, and they weren't jokes in the form of, and this is, I mean, Joss Whedon has a whole bunch of other stuff with him, which we won't get into, but none of the jokes were like, boom.
Oh no,
it wasn't, no. Like they just let the joke happen, because in real life, funny stuff happens in real life that you don't get a drum roll for. You know what I'm saying? Or like you just. Like funny stuff happens and you're like, huh? You just move on.
This is in my surprise point, because my favorite joke of the whole show was told by Owen Wilson. And again,
Owen Wilson held it down. Even
oh my God, that joke was, I thought you didn't like to talk, after Loki, and just the way that he performed it. And the jokes that he brought in, it wasn't jokes, it was real snark.
Yeah, and blurtish.
That isn't the defense mechanism, but it's a hint as to, boy, I read you before you got to the room.
And then you got Blurtish say Owen Wilson delivered that line greatly. He has the government employee with middle management authority down. And it is, because the TVA, like we said, like even in the trailers, we could tell like, oh, so this is like a DMV kind of style. And I do get that Legion feel from it, even though I haven't finished Legion because season 2 just I just won't vibe with it, so I fell off. Season 1, I was
Will
feeling.
be the
Season
first one
2,
to
I was
say,
like,
yeah, I'm gonna say as much as I love weird, and I love weird. I had
Season
to take
2
a
seemed
break.
to be like weird, but they lost any direction though.
Yeah, I had to take a break. I'm just like, all right, I made it through season 2. Ah,
But with this, the
ah.
DB Cooper stuff,
Mhm.
the emotional stuff, seeing him and his brother, uh, having to be in a place where he has no power, like none. Like when when homie's he's like, well, how about this? Huh? She was like, what are you doing? It's like, oh, he's trying to use his powers.
Yeah.
It's like you're in this special, I don't know, place that, makes everything inert or whatever. So you can just forget it.
Yeah.
You just got to do what they say. And I don't think he's ever been in a situation where you have to do where someone, even with his own family or family as he calls it, you know what I'm saying? If Odin said something, he was definitely a mama's boy. And I'm pretty sure my dude's probably smooth like, oh, well, just let Loki do it. And he was like, all right, you know what I'm saying? And so, so you have someone who's never really had consequences or had to play by the rules,
Mhm.
and therefore has become resentful for the privilege that they get,
Yeah.
which is a whole nother lesson for many families out there.
which is why the smartest thing they ever did is they rooted his catharsis in him seeing the death of his mother.
Yes.
That all started out his whole. Go ahead.
The death of his mother after one of those you see Timmy moments from his mother.
Right.
That was just to remind you that he knows what love is. Like here it is. Like he had a good relationship with his moms. We know pops, we know about the brothers, but this was his mom's. This was how she was his mom. And you got her killed, by the way. you know.
By trying to be funny, you got her killed.
Yeah. And also trying to crack the door again.
Yeah, and Nerdy Brew comes through. Shouts to RJ. Says he had to reflect, and he is working to be the Loki we know now before his neck gets snapped.
You mean the snap 2.0?
Yo, man, it's tough when dealing with trauma that immediate, because of course he hasn't watched it yet, and we all come to that moment where the family member that we just assume would always be there, whether it's your granddad, grandma, great auntie, mama, daddy, whoever, brother, that family member that you always thought, oh, they'll always be there, and then you watch this fast forward and you're like, oh no, my mom's dead, and if I wasn't in jail I probably could have protected her. And if I wasn't trying to be funny, trying to kill a brother who never had any ill will against me, sending them that way, she might not have died too.
Boom. That's the thing.
Maybe I've been up this whole time.
It was, and it's my fault. That's that whole thing. It was, I was talking with my girl last night about the end of Breaking Bad. And how I rewrote it. Because one of the things that was missing was the main character seeing the consequences of his actions in regards to the people around him. And that scene with Loki coming to the realization, like before it was, Nietzsche. Yeah, I'm gonna get philosophical.
No, he didn't bust out a Nietzsche though.
It talked about the pale criminal. That is the criminal who has the courage of the knife, but not the blood. And that has been Loki. He has never had the courage to truly look at the consequences of his own actions. And so seeing that for the first time in a way that he could not escape, especially seeing it alone. He couldn't cover it with bravado. He couldn't, it was just him by himself in a room. This is what happens. This is your fault.
And that's a good point. Even when, and you got to remember, this is 2012 after Avengers Loki, he had just witnessed his defeat at the hands of the Avengers, which is why he can't even look back when Mobius is like, "Hey, look what just happened here." It's like he can't even face it because his ego was so high that he's like, "Why did I lose?"
Yeah.
And it's the same when he comes to the table, like, "Why do I have no power here?
Yeah.
Why can't I subjugate someone? Why is like when I tell this guy I'm gonna gut you like a fish, why doesn't he cower before me?"
Yeah. And then when he sees the real and true consequences of not just something he could have prevented, but from something that he caused.
Right.
Yeah.
He was just like, that, and then having him see in the same sitting his death. Like, the thing that you did that messed things up, it had a greater purpose, but you're not mature enough to see that yet. So take a look at you dying. So you see you'll screw up and you dying. And so,
always,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well,
go ahead.
That's why the scene where he stops running and Mobius comes into the room and he's just sitting on the floor like, you got, it was what I know the writers were trying for and failed at the end of Civil War, where a non-spoiler character gives up. It actually had that impact that story failed to transmit. You
Okay. Now, ZSB Lou comes through and says, almost seems like they should mention that the TVA did intercept Rogers after he succeeded in returned all of the stones, and as a reward, allowed him to live out his life with Peggy as part of the time loop theory from the timeline he was in, with the caveat he would not have any power to change anything that already was set in stone if he chooses that life, find Bucky earlier, stop Hydra within S.H.I.E.L.D., etc., but would know he was living the one timeline where the universe would be saved.
Yeah, half of me is going to let it go because
I
of
feel
the thing.
That's a lot to bring into this story. Like, I get it. I think it might be best to leave that up to the imagination of the viewer.
Yeah.
That one might be like, I see you, but that might be, because that might be a lot of explaining to do inside of this episode where we're already dealing with Loki and his mess.
I'll go further and say that is a whole Captain America movie.
Yeah.
It is.
Why didn't you do something? Why didn't you stop the Kennedy assassination? Why didn't you stop any of the assassinations in the 60s? What was up with?
Because honestly, with something like Disney Plus, you don't even have to do a full movie. You can do like a short film and kind of knock that out, depending on how you handle it. If you have it something that's like it's a story he's just telling between himself and Cap and Bucky, you can do it that. I'm just saying, if you need to pinch pennies, you can do it as a short film, 45 minutes or so, where he's just recounting, where they're like, yo, man, we were waiting for you, kind of thing, where he just tells them out there on at the lake or wherever they were, you know what I'm saying? You do something like that, where it's like, oh, you get a couple of shots where he's like with Peggy, couple of shots, but you can do that in a way, like, I know there's some filmmakers out there like Neil Blomkamp that can do that on a dime. And still get the same point across, and without having like the end of Endgame kind of effects on it.
I can't quite see that kind of thing done as a short, given the integrity of the character of Steve Rogers and the horrifying history of the United States alone between 1945 and 2015. To think that Steve Rogers would have done nothing, nothing during the Watts riots, nothing during the Stonewall riots, Nothing for JFK or RFK or MLK.
Or Seneca Village or Tulsa
Yeah.
or any of
Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, seriously, you think Captain America, Steve Rogers wouldn't have done anything in regards to any of the terrible things that has happened in this country that doesn't live up to its ideals for what? We're talking, he went back to Peggy around 1945, 46. Well, from the Roosevelt administration, sorry, the second Roosevelt administration, because, you know, he was there 4 times, all the way to Obama. I'm sorry, I don't think he could have stood by and done nothing for all those decades.
I mean, he even says it himself. I forget which movie it was, where he says, "If I can't," it's Civil War.
If I see something going wrong, I have to do something. If I see something going south, I have to act. You know, so if it was going to be a short, the only way that short could work would be Steve compromising that and the internal struggle he has in coming to that decision. That's the only way I can see a short happening. You know, I mean, hell, he didn't even do anything about Isaiah. You know, could have brought him a coffee. You know,
and that's the key. I think the good thing about this episode of Loki makes you think about not just Loki's story, but the MCU as a whole.
Yes.
Past, present, future.
Yep.
And especially with that whole Jurassic Park introduction of Miss Minutes talking about it, it makes you examine.
Shout out to Tara Strong.
Jurassic Park introduction. You know what? It is very Jurassic Park.
Yeah, it is.
It's very Jurassic Park.
Like that is a whole homage to Jurassic Park itself, right?
I'm with it. I'm not just with it. I'm feeling it. I'm using it when I go back on the air regularly. Know that. Thank you. Welcome. Next question.
But it as someone who is like a lifelong reader of comics, graphic novels, and appreciating what the storytelling has been in the MCU, it makes me think that we're going to be breaking down the future movies and shows of the MCU in a completely different way than it was phases 1 through 3. Well, it's going to take you places that you've never even seen.
Phases 1 through 3 were very important for building the world.
Right.
And now these next phases coming through, don't get me wrong. Hang on, let me put on my corporate persona here. Vertical integration of all the medias between comics, streaming services, television, and the movies is super important to maximize our audience engagement. But understanding that the audience is more savvy today with the internet, the research equipment, and the knowledge of researching, that we know that the customers are going to be we know that the audience is going to be looking for connections and for a continuity that we've never had to really pay attention for. So how do we keep these know-it-alls engaged while keeping them entertained when we've set up an entertainment culture that is anti-spoiler but pro-detective?
Right.
You know, so let me take that, because God, even thinking like that makes me feel sick to my stomach.
Well, that's what I have to do. But it's like, and by the way, the impression is barely spot on. A little heightened, but a little.
I haven't always just been on the
but I think that's why the key is like why the MCU continues to succeed where others who create cinematic universes are falling short.
Sorry, what was that about the Dark Universe?
Especially
I didn't go there.
Okay, we got a couple. We got Dark Universe. You have Sony blowing their opportunity with Valiant Comics, which oh man, Shadow Man is so dope, and you guys, Shadow Man is so dope. The supernatural goodness that could have, but they got Vin Diesel to play Vin Diesel as Bloodshot. Oh man,
you know what?
Bloodshot is a bad character to start with, but
I'm mad at Warner for not having the courage to give us our Milestone cinematic universe.
That could have been
the ball with the Trinity. They can pick it up with ion, rocket, static, and hardware. They can do that.
They could.
Yeah.
It will, now that the static film is in development.
Yeah,
static is static.
I feel like static is a really late reaction to, oh, the black algorithm works. Okay. Okay,
Wow.
well, let's say we're gonna do a static movie. Okay, where's it at? Who's being cast? Who's gonna be all these people? We don't hear no casting news. Now, I will say, after 100 false starts, we finally do get the return of Milestone in comic book form. So that does bode well. But I wouldn't hold your breath on that static movie because I don't know.
You know, I need to put on my eye patch and grab my cigar because I've seen some things. I remember the Top Cow cinematic universe of the 90s. Which Blade happened. Yes, I remember Hasselhoff in the eye patch. We might not want
that. So many others. And then now it seems like Amazon is taking their time with Invincible. So that looks like it's going to be cool. And even though Image is kind of like a collection of indie books, there are some books that have their own, like Invincible has its own universe. And like Spawn has their own universe. There's a kind of like Concrete Park or something. They have their own universe, but it's not like all of it isn't connected.
Right.
But at least it seems like Amazon's taking their time with that. Unlike Netflix with Millar World, which I think they started with the wrong property. But what can you do? You know what I'm saying?
We're a good doing.
I mean, the whole thing with Millar World is, when it happened was around the same time that they really started sunsetting all the Netflix Marvel stuff. So they saw an opportunity, which was smart, but they did don't put words, I'm not trying to put words in anybody else's mouth, but I feel like they approached it with the fact of, we can just replace Marvel with any comic book line and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
Yeah, no. Honestly, good story is good story.
Right.
At the end of the day, that's what everybody wants. It's just the decision makers don't really know. They don't know much about, nor do they care to learn about the medium and the culture as a whole. This is coming from somebody who cannot find fault in Daredevil season 3, not as an adaptation, not as a standalone show. Like, as much as I tried, I really tried. Hell, it even made me like a character that I hated previously. So I get that, the reason that things like Invincible and The Boys work is because the decision makers care. Yep. I mean, shout out to Seth Rogen. He gives a damn. And it comes out on the screen. Feige gives a damn. And it comes out on screen.
And I think the important point is Rogen, Feige, they're fans first.
Exactly.
Fans first, which is why they understand the medium, and they understand, okay, something like The Boys, something that is super controversial, super graphic in the comics, you can't translate 100% to the screen because no one's going to watch it.
Yeah.
So they understand what to change, what to leave, and what to tweak enough to say, okay, someone watch this. Why were they going to watch it?
What do we do to conserve the spirit of the story? This is why V for Vendetta worked, and Killing Joke did not.
What was it?
I said Killing Joke did not.
Yeah.
And in truth, getting back to good story is good story. A lot of the people greenlighting these projects are just going, get us a comic book thing. Well, which one? We have 60 scripts on our desk. Just pick one and go, and that's pretty much it. Like, pick one and go before Marvel produces something else, which is really what it feels like a lot of the stuff has been doing.
Yeah. Now, shout out to Shot by Nolan. Shot by Nolan said Sony's still trying to get that Aunt May trilogy off the ground.
Bro, I
Yo.
read something. We don't want to talk about that.
Oh man. And then Shot by Nolan says, meanwhile, Warner remains clueless. It's weird, man. It's like it's not that Warner Brothers doesn't make good movies. It's like when they go to DC, it's like they lose all of their movie making skills. It's like they just disappear. It's like poof. Because Warner Brothers makes like award-winning films. It's not like Warner Brothers, has never made a good movie. They have tons of classic movies.
Warner Brothers,
award-winning films.
Warner Brothers is still fighting Disney for childhood. Because Disney's got we all know Disney kids. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But Harry Potter is Warner. So they got good stuff. Their problem has always been that their executives don't take the comic medium seriously.
Okay,
they don't.
All right, hold on that thought real quick. Hold on that thought. The main thing that makes this first episode of Loki work is because all of the actors are buying into this world.
Exactly.
They believe in it.
Actors,
like you said, these executives do not believe in the comics. They're just like, hey man, it sells toys. But everyone on set, every actor, even the people behind the scenes, definitely believe in this world. And that's why it shines through.
Which is why the smartest thing that they could have done is have Tom Hiddleston teach the 6-hour class about who Loki is as a character.
Yes.
That was brilliant.
Yeah.
Especially if you have someone who has been around longer than probably Feige. If you're thinking about everyone on set, regardless of, MCU veterans behind the scenes, it's either Feige or Loki who are teaching, who understand and can teach where the character has been and where they want them to go. And that's what the smartest thing was, what they could have done.
Yeah. They let people who actually give a damn be the controller of the narrative. And that is important. I'm putting this out there right now. I've always loved Zack Snyder as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
He is not the right pick for Superman. I've always loved Chris Nolan as a director, and I think it was brilliant that he was not approached for the DCU because he doesn't get Superman. And I cannot see him doing a Marvel movie, period. I can't see that. Actually, I could see him doing a Black Widow flick. But all in all, he doesn't care about the medium, so he should not be in the conversation. Marvel is very good at keeping people in the projects that really care about the material. Not just because the mortgage payment delivers on it, but they hire the people that would have done it on their own. And that is a really, really important thing. I didn't study the credits as much as I should have before this, but the writer of this last episode, or of this premiere episode, you want to talk about hit the ground running. Like, it's one of the new conditions, I guess you could say, that has sprung up lately, which I'm amused by, is resentment toward appointment television. And since I grew up in the 80s, I have never known anything but appointment television. This whole binging thing is a nice little cherry on my dessert. But for me, TV was TV, I watched Space 9 when it first ran.
There was a time you had to go to. Now,
exactly. Like when in All Good Things, one of the greatest multi-part episodes of a Star Trek show ever, I had to wait a week. I saw Picard as the Borg, and I'm like, no! And for 6 days,
see you next week, guys.
What's up? And then that night, like my mom even let me not do my homework so we could sit down and do that as a family. But Loki showed me how spoiled I got. Because now I'm seriously thinking, like, unless I keep doing these panels, I might not watch the rest of it. Because now it's one of those things where, man, why is it over right now? You know, I'm not going to watch the same episode over and over and over because I can't wait for the next week. But now I'm a little mad that I have to.
And I think
well, I remember shouts out to Richmond, Virginia Comcast call center back in circa like 2006. Like I remember being at Comcast when On Demand first came out. It was like, so you guys get an idea. I want to say it was like season 3 of The Wire, season 3, maybe 4, like somewhere in that time. But I remember when On Demand came out and HBO was like, you get to watch the episode earlier and you can watch it whenever you want. And then other channels were like, yeah, you can watch the show whenever you want. You know what I'm saying? And you can even watch it without commercials if you want. I was like, this is the future. Like I was sitting there like, oh, this is it. It's over now. It's over. This is the future. I was like, I don't have to try to rush home. I don't have to try to set a DVR. I can just come and be like, all right, boom, watch what. That was it. It was over. Like, and it was around the time that The Wire was like season 3 or 4, and then you had The Sopranos ending. So it was around that area, whatever year that was. And when that thing happened, I was like, oh, this is the future. It's over. I don't want to watch TV. I don't want to watch regular TV no more. I was already spoiled. It had been like 2 weeks, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this stuff no more. Like, I don't want to do this. This is whack.
That came out, bro.
I was like, this other stuff, I don't want to wait until Wednesday.
You know, but the writer was so good at establishing character dynamic, establishing a threat. Like, this is textbook television writing at its best. And I didn't even say that about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You know, I didn't say that about WandaVision, and I was caught up in the newness of what the hell am I looking at? But with this one, you know, with this one, this is like, I gotta say, God, what point was it where I was all in? It was from the point that he got butt checked by old girl from Lovecraft Country.
Oh,
because it was like,
no,
you're slowed down, but you're feeling pain in real time.
I'm just like, I howled at that scene.
I was like, dang.
I love it. I was like, and the way that they did the graphics and the CGI around it, perfectly telegraphed what he was going through. Like, I'm just like, you ever see like someone that you really want to hit in the face and you want to feel all of that pain? That was that moment for me.
Loki got all that work.
I loved it. I loved it. And also it lets you know, oh, you're playing on a different ground now.
Yeah.
I think that's what I love most about the show. It's telling you that you're playing with something different now.
Yes. Yeah. It was for me, the last time I had that feeling was my first time reading Game of Thrones. And when Jamie pushed for film book 1, because I'm like, flag, castle, I'm sorry, what? No, hold on. Why'd that happen? You know, and that was a great click moment where it's like, okay, Loki's there, he's in the desert, you know, I am Loki and I'm here with magnificent purpose. And she was like, bitch, sit down. Like,
ain't nobody think about you.
You know, and you know, I'm not gonna lie, I'm one of the few people that did not like the first Avengers movie. Again, it was everything about that writer that I disliked in 2 hours of me sitting in the dark, not being able to escape it.
Well, I mean, you could escape it, but you chose to stay.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm surrounded by
all spent your money.
Time, and I'm just kind of going, oh man.
You're like, I spent my money.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm staying.
You know, and I was in the suburbs, so I couldn't quite go up going, I want to see the manager. I want my money back. I'm hating this movie because they go, officer. So, you know.
Unless you're about to tell me that Joss Whedon kidnapped more than one black man. I'm just playing. I don't need that allegedly money coming my way. I don't need that. Look, all I'm saying is Josh Whedon.
I'll take
you know
it.
what I'm saying? The
I'll
streets
take
is
the
talking.
allegedly.
You're not looking good.
Yeah. But yeah, I did not like it. And at the end, I'm like, oh, really? He's just beaten by the Hulk. I don't really get Loki's threat. There was so much about the Avengers that just didn't hit for me. The Loki that I loved was from Thor, the first Thor. You know, although the movie felt like it ran backwards with it opens up with an epic freaking war scene and it ends with the main character farting on his little brother's head. Not
exactly, but
he put the hammer on his chest so he couldn't get up. You know, it battle. It was sit down, I'm gonna fart on your head. I mean, that's really what it was. You know, that was the Loki that I liked because he had more character development, but you could see more of his machinations. In the Avengers, it was I'm evil and I'm smart because everyone is saying that I'm evil and smart. Yes. And I'm like, bro, I can watch for a better mastermind than you. You know,
I see where you're going. It's like, for me, I like the first Avengers because also it was, for me, the promise of something that actually made it to screen.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm not arguing. I'm just saying, and I think the better parts for me, especially when we're talking about Loki, is the slower parts where him and Thor are talking about their parentage.
Yeah.
Which is really good. Especially, I think the good thing is, even if we've had multiple directors and writers handling Loki throughout all of the MCU, they all harp on that one thing, and it's consistent. The one thing, Loki's storytelling is consistent throughout the MCU. So much so that he grows. He grows. Like, it's very much like, even in the beginning of Ragnarok, you're seeing, you know, shades of old Loki, where he's like, I'm going to kill you, Bruce. Mm-hmm. Like, and you're seeing like him carrying before the Hulk because of what he did in the Avengers. And then when you get to the end of Ragnarok, he's this I don't want to say totally reformed, but he is better equipped to handle the emotional weight that he has gone through with Thor and his family. And it's kind of brings him closer to it.
Yeah, too. I can see that, because you know what I felt at the end of Ragnarok, in regards to Loki, especially in regards to his relationship with Thor. I was looking at Jay-Z and Kanye. Ooh. It's like, man, why are you keeping him around?
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Glad I wasn't drinking because I would have choked. Like, that was.
Tell me I'm wrong though.
No,
Thank
you're not
God
wrong.
Tom Hiddleston never said that Harriet Tubman wasn't freeing slaves. That she was, you know what? Just thank God he never said that.
No, but I can see him interrupting Thor going, Odin Borson does not care about Earth people. You know, I can see that. You know?
Yo, Odin don't even care about his own people. He ain't tell his kids, oh, yo, like he about to die. Oh, yeah, by the way, y'all got a sister. She dangerous. Peace.
Like, oh, she coming. Like, who is this? Oh, wait, your hammer's done.
When's she coming? Oh, she coming right now. Goodbye.
That's literally what he did. I felt bad.
Seriously.
I felt bad for him.
Odin, hashtag bad dad.
Dynamic. I can see, because now we're looking at Loki, and throughout everything that Loki has been, I've seen his growth, but I'm going, no, this guy's a dick. You shouldn't be around him. You know, and this show is actually making me change my mind, because thanks to years of therapy, I'm going, nope, toxic, I'm out. You know, I'm looking at this and I'm like, all right, toxic, but all right, you're getting a little bit, but you still can't help but to be you. So I don't hate you, all right, but I can't be around you, because being around you is too expensive for me. So when I get richer, we can kick it. But right now, I can't afford your shenanigans. You know, that's always how I looked at Loki. And now in this one, his growth seems a lot more based on him going, all right, I ain't gonna lie, I see why people don't want to be around me. You know?
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah.
I think that Hera is going to be riding a CGI horse into heaven, although not Hera, but Freya. Although technically in Norse mythology she would ride a winged horse into heaven. But yeah, I mean that's I'm definitely seeing. Oh God, I have to write an article comparing Kanye to Loki now.
No,
You know what? That would
that would be good.
Yeah.
Real quick before we bounce, I did want to give a shout out to Jenna James. I lost where you said it, Jenna, so you could just say it again. But Jenna said something to the extent of like, what if the Loki we're chasing is Lady Loki or something to that extent? And Jenna, I know you said it somewhere in here, and I missed it. I apologize. But yeah, that could be something that kind of flips things around.
That's obvious, actually. That's already been spoiled. Not by, or should I say, not by the strong theory. My girl is a lot smarter than she likes to make herself out to be most of the time. And one of the things she taught me was how to tell men and women apart in regards to stunt work.
Mm-hmm.
Like she knew about Penelope Cruz in the last Pirates movie before I figured it out. Because she's like, she moves like a woman. And I'm like, really? Do tell. Please educate me on what you are seeing. And once she did, when I saw some of the trailer stuff for future episodes, I'm like, huh, that Loki moves like, oh, I know you, Eddie. I know you, So yeah, my money is all in on Lady Loki. But I think the pertinent question is why? What is this Loki doing? What is the plan? That's I think when it comes to these mastermind characters or these stories revolving around mastermind characters.
Yeah.
What it's just scenery for the public. Lady Loki, Child Loki, Loki God of Evil versus Loki God of Mischief, all smoke and mirrors, just scenery for the public to keep them from asking the most important question, why? Why is this variant going through time, stealing this equipment? Who benefits? And what would the motivate, like what is the end game?
Which is why Mobius asked him, do you like killing people?
Yeah.
Whole question, it comes back to that. And that's why I can't wait to see where they take it, especially where they're going to do Lady Loki. And Richard E. Grant is supposed to show up in this show somewhere.
Okay.
Let's be honest, he's going to probably be old Loki. Like that's the only thing that I can really hang my hat on right now. Maybe I'm wrong. I probably will be wrong, but like I couldn't see him being anybody else. But I'm looking forward to seeing how they explore Loki. It's not just time travel, time series to kick off Multiverse of Madness. It's a deep retrospective psychological look into this character that we come to know, that we think we know, but we really don't.
Well, that people like because it seems to be popular to like it. And I say that, I know it seems like a hot take, but any of y'all looking at me going, or the other bunch of y'all on the stoop going, oh, say something specific as to why you like Loki, other than Tom Hiddleston is awesome. And most people can't say that,
Yeah, because Marvel has done a great job of taking characters that were otherwise kind of like, and making them interesting through great actors and some great direction. I mean, in writing too, not just the writing.
I still stand by the fact that it's only been the past 3 years that anybody has liked Iron Man. And that's mainly thanks to the cartoons.
Yeah, because Iron Man has always been a character. Like, he's cool, whatever, he's there.
But all the way up to Endgame, people didn't like Iron Man. They liked RDJ.
Right.
Yeah.
And they couldn't separate the two.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was typecasting if I had ever heard it. But most of the time it's like people conflate these characters. Like, and the inverse of that would be Harrison Ford. People love Han Solo. People love Indiana Jones. Nobody knows Harrison Ford.
This is another thing. Mary Higgins in the comments says, I think that the hooded figure is Lady Loki too. His gender was listed as fluid on his rap sheet. Like, that's also a really important, like, I don't want to call it red flag, but sign that they're going to be exploring who Loki is across space and time.
It sounds like somebody just picked up an egg that a rabbit dropped on their TV.
Yeah, so pretty much, so we're gonna be dealing with like, oh, you think you're special? No, like 10 other of you have already done this. That's why we knew we were waiting for you. Like you've done this. A version of you has done this about 9-10 times now. Like we know sooner or later, you know, the lizards be like, go get Loki, you're gonna be in the desert. All right, cool, it's gonna be another one. You know, we just didn't know if we were gonna disintegrate you or not.
Yes, and your predecessors also brought imbalance to the program. So
I would say, I think we need to pay attention to the comics. I think ZSB Lyle was like, y'all need to read our comics. We need to pay attention to the comics, y'all, a little bit.
Bruh. Let me keep it real with you. One, I'm highly indie. Shout out to my hashtag Black Comics out there. Two, right. Loki has never been on my pull list at all. Barely Thor. Now you do have the what is it? The God Killer storyline with God
Butcher has been.
I can't remember the dude, but that was dope. But Loki, come on, man, ain't nobody pulling no Loki. Let's be real.
In truth,
there is no crazy fervor. Loki is not pulling in Batman numbers. He's not. I could be proven wrong, but I doubt that. Loki is not outselling Spider-Man. He's not outselling
them. And now. Okay.
Really?
Loki, yes. Actually, Lady Loki was introduced after the House of M.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the covers. I'm talking about people actually going and purchasing it.
Yeah,
not the comic book being made, not a budget for it to be made, but then people actually going and buying it, putting it on the pull list, stores ordering it.
Yeah, it has a very good fan following because the storytelling is so strong. Okay, the Lady Loki story arc, not long, but good. The Kid Loki story arc, not long, very good.
Okay.
Very good.
I agree. Especially when you get into like the Young Avengers stuff, like
really
good.
Because they took the character that was, I am evil, mwaha. Or I'm screwing with my big brother because I'm a little brother and that's what we do. That's how writers wrote it.
That's what we do.
That's
how we do.
To a character in conflict with themselves and the character in itself questioning fate and nature versus free will. And it was good. It was good. Like I said, don't look past your book. I'm geek culture, bro.
Yeah. I'm just, and my only argument is not whether it's good or not, is whether it's like, is it doing numbers? Like, are people, does it exist and people are buying it? Or does it, like, does it exist and it's McDonald's or does it exist and it's Arby's? Like, that's, are people buying the book?
No,
is it selling out? Is it going to second prints, third prints? Are the trades coming out? Are people buying it? Or is it like, oh, it's dope, but I'm the only one that owns it?
There is a big drop between 1 and 2 in Marvel. Big drop between 2 and 3 in Marvel. Because you got, God Butcher was fire, but it didn't have the word Hickman written on it. So it wasn't going to do Avengers numbers. It wasn't going to do X-Men numbers.
Man, God Butcher was on some boss level. Man, I gotta see if they got a hardcover of that. That God Butcher was on some boss level.
That's
and actually, there's still an opportunity to do that.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I'm really hoping that when we get Fantastic Four, it's based on Hickman's run of the Fantastic Four, because bruh,
Hickman comes through.
And all that stuff did numbers. It did good enough numbers, and it has a loud and loyal fan base online.
Yeah, Hickman usually comes through at least with concepts that he's able to like refresh in a way where, like, yes, you're comfortable with this because you've seen it before, but we're gonna twist it a little bit to like freshen it up for you. Because like technically House of Powers of X.
So because
like House of Powers of X, I've seen the arguments of like, oh, this has been done before, but it's like, But I mean, come on, man. You have a moment. You have the moment where Professor X is shaking Apocalypse's hand. Like it's like there's certain things you can put small twists on things where it's like, whoa, okay.
Are you reading House and Powers of X?
What?
Are you reading House and Powers of X?
Yeah, I read it.
Dude, no, they're not just Xavier shaking Apocalypse's hands.
No, I'm shortening it. I'm shortening it because we got to wrap. I'm shortening it. There's tons of stuff. They have their own language. They buck the system. There's tons of stuff. But I mean, iconic moments that normally you would have never seen.
Yeah.
Hickman comes up with those kind of things.
Yeah.
But with that said, we have exhausted and exercised the demons, at least a little bit. So right over here, of course, Cinematic Sorcerer. Tell them where they can find you.
Hey guys, it's Solar Gray, Cinematic Sorcerer, and send all of your complaints about my dislike of Joss Whedon's writing and all that other stuff, or just hit me up and call me old over at backinthedeck@gmail.com. It's BACKINTHEDECK@gmail.com. Check out my YouTube channel. Just look for Solar Gray or BidP, BID_P. I'm on a bit of a hiatus right now because of the family tragedy and a whole restructuring of all of my spells. And it is
all of them.
All of them. I mean, the Wizard's Tower is being rebuilt and taken to 3 other different dimensions that's going to be coming out. So we're talking a big old restructure. And you can also find some of my archive over at twitch.tv/BID_P and hit us up over on Patreon at patreon.com/BID_P. And if anybody tells you that y'all can't like what you like because of the color of your skin or because, color of your skin, sexual orientation, disabilities, or fiscal disenfranchisement, you just tell them to put any of those cards back in the deck. So thank you for having me again, bro. This is, I'm not just in your circle, I'm in your corner. All right?
We here.
Yeah, that's what I got. All right?
Now, in the bottom square, you know what? I'm not even going to tell you everything he's done because you already know what he can do. All right? This man, this myth, this legend.
Father of dragons, protector of the realm.
Clement Bryant.
Breaker
of my Highlander? What? Anyways, man, Twitter, Instagram at Clement Bryant. I'm gonna get you too. Anyways, thanks for having me, y'all. It's been fun. We'll do this again next Sunday.
All right. Shouts out to Blurtish, ZSB Lou, Antoine Allen, Mary Higgins, Jenna James, Shabbat Nolan. Let's see who else. Here he come. RJ Nerdy Brew. Next time we got you, you know what I'm saying? Internet be hating, but we ain't gonna let that stop us. And anyone else, look, y'all name Silhouetted Animator. What up? You were in here mad early. So everybody, peace out. Love all y'all. NERD, SUL, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all them places. Puffy coats, all right, and t-shirts. That's what we doing right now.
What's up?
That's right. So podcast, if you want to listen. Spotify for that music, hit that thumbs up if you like what you're seeing, share it and all that good stuff. Hit that thumbs down if you don't. If you hit that thumbs down, I'm sending you to the DMV. All right. Yep, you know what I'm saying? Hit the bell, the red button, all that. All right. And the thumbs up. The thumbs down too. Don't put it your one. All right, there you go.
Don't worry, it's all engagement.
so with that said, we're leaving y'all with PL and Arca from us to you and NY High Side. Peace. Show them the woo. Show them the woo. Show them the power of the woo. That's what I'm talking about right there. We out, y'all. I'm the man, yes, sir, that killed the bear barehanded so the people won't forget it. Getting money for I was legal to drink. I care what a broke nigga think.
Just like the pack of Lewis.
Look, everything I do so cold. I can do this, both eyes closed. Too short, I stay on my toes. About that guap boy, anything goes. Help the bear if we outside. Help the
Paris, we outside. Still tipping, baby, nothing changed. We still grinding over here, yeah. Still sliding through my own lane. Shorty, nothing funny over here. Dallas rain everywhere around me. Dream to get money. Made it through the storm, living sunny. Dreams came true, now we eating. I got more dreams to chase, gotta reach them. Trying to put a team together like the Hunger Games. Everybody grind together, we all came from Hunger Games.